All right, well, we're back again with another edition. This time, no co host, just me. Enjoy the angelic voice of myself and think I'm the smarter co host. Congratulations. If you think I'm the dumbest one and have really dumb points, I'm sorry. There'll be a couple more videos that come out in the next couple days and upcoming weeks where it's just going to be me. Right now, the co-host is on Gilligan's Island. All right, so let's talk about a couple notes, newsworthy stuff that has happened in the past couple of days with Georgia football. Um, the first being their outside linebackers coach, Urbre. I don't know. I never got the guy's name right, and he was there for 3 seasons, 4 seasons. Anyway, he goes to the Dallas Cowboys, takes a just basically a lateral move. Well, I guess it's not really a lateral move, but coaching the same position that he was at Georgia. He's coaching outside linebackers with the Cowboys. Now, I know some people on social media and fans that I've talked to have wondered about the timing of this and think it's slightly suspicious. Um, and I don't think it really is, given the fact that this is the coaching carousel in the NFL right now. All the staffs are being put together. I mean, all the head coaches have been hired except one, the Raiders, but that will be announced after the Super Bowl, probably on Monday. I'm recording this on a Thursday, so um, that all the head coaches are set. So they're making their staffs, planning out their staffs. Um, and this is part of that time period. Now, it leaves Georgia and Kirby Smart in a precarious situation on, well, where do you go? Because this is not the coaching carousel for college football. Um, you know, this is going to be a tough hiring cycle, and you better get it right because this is again a pretty important position for Georgia, especially considering last year how they didn't have much of a pass rush. Um, this is kind of important. Uh, and I know a lot of people are talking about Christian Robinson because he played at Georgia, he coached for a long time, or he has coached for a long time. Um, and I wouldn't hate that hire. I don't think it would be the worst hire in the world. Um, but to me, if you're gonna make a hire for the outside linebackers coach, um, I think someone that knows Kirby Smart, knows the system, can recruit well, can go into people's houses, say, hey, we have a long history of linebackers at the University of Georgia that are great, that have gone on to the NFL and done really good things, made a lot of money. Um, and the guy that fits that perfectly is Jarvis Jones. He played at Georgia, was one of the greatest defensive players in the Mark Richt era. I would argue probably number one. Sorry, David Pollock. Had a decent NFL career. Then I think in 2017 or 2018 came uh, a, a, a student coach at the University of Georgia, or GA, and was on staff all the way up till last season. Um, and now he's a head coach at Carver. He won the state championship last season, uh, and to me, makes all the sense in the world to hire him if he would be willing to leave his former high school and become a position coach at Georgia. It just makes the most sense to me. Like I said, the guy played at Georgia. He's now a high school coach in the state of Georgia. He knows all the coaches, presumably, or knows most of them. He can recruit those areas in Georgia. He was a heck of he was from all accounts, pretty good coach while he was on staff at Georgia. And he's worked with Kirby already, so he knows the demands. He knows what the job entails. I don't think I think it's a slam dunk hire if they hire Jarvis Jones. Now, Kirby has been kind of hesitant hiring former players as coaches. I mean, I know there's Mike Bobo and Will Muschamp, but Hines Ward has always wanted to coach at Georgia, and they had a vacancy like a couple years ago, and they got Coley instead of Hines, and now he's at Arizona State coaching. Um, I don't really understand that from my perspective, but it's Kirby's call at the end of the day. How big is it losing Uribe? I mean, it could be big. Nothing to get in a panic over. Um, so we'll just see. We'll just wait and see who Kirby hires. I mean, literally, as I'm recording this, there could be an announcement right now that they hired somebody. I just think Jarvis Jones would be the right guy. Also, with Christian Robinson, he worked with Todd Monk, or not Todd Monken. Ooh, wow, that was bad. Todd Grantham. What Georgia fan wants to hear the name Todd Grantham again? Other than it's an opposing defensive coordinator, then I feel really good. But if it's not, not good. Not good. So, I guess Jarvis Jones did play for Todd Grantham as well. So, does that really work out in your favor? All right. Next thing is the Glory. It's not an NIL collective. They got some fancy legal jargon calling it an ecosystem. It's a direct to fans thing. I think it's a good idea, especially given the current state of NIL and what we have to do in the transfer portal and what you have to do to get high school kids. If you go and look, and this kind of touches on the next subject that I'm going to talk about, but the top 3 players in the country, Georgia was all in on them. All 3 of them were the highest paid players, and they all 3 didn't go to Georgia. So you got to find revenue avenues anywhere and everywhere, and this is just another way of doing it. I think it's interesting. I didn't go through all the tiers. I looked at the $20 and the $75 tier, and I think the $20 tier is 200 something bucks a month. And there is some cool perks with hey, you get your picture taken on the field or during I think it's a basketball game if you're the black, the $20 tier, which is fine. You get to go see a practice. My question is, how much is Kirby gonna allow you to watch practice? Is he gonna let you watch 15 minutes of calisthenics of them doing yoga? Or is it going to let you actually see some practice? Is it going to be fall camp? Is it going to be spring camp? Where is this practice? What is this practice? So there's a little bit of that's going to be really interesting to see how that's all handled in the future. But I wanted to talk about this because it does bother me. And I get it in what current state we are at college football. We are spending money. It's the Wild West. There are no laws. They won't do anything about tampering. We all seen Dabo's rant. And seemingly there's not enough money to spend to get your roster in a good spot. And sooner rather than later, this model, the path that we are on, is not going to last. I mean, not every day or not every year someone's going to give millions of dollars to the University of Georgia. Think about the ticket prices already. They've gone up every single year. Season ticket holders, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, they've gone up every single year, and really last year, 2025 season was the best home slate that Georgia's had in years. And just to go to, if you're not a season ticket holder, and you just want to go to a Georgia game, used to you could go to the Georgia Southerns, the Charlottes, the Troy's games with your family, and it would be $50 and under per ticket, and that's not the case anymore. And that's on the secondary market. So, in going to like a SEC game, a Kentucky, of Vanderbilt, these games are now $100 plus. Plus, if you have like a premier SEC team come into Athens, like a Alabama, LSU, Texas, they're north of $300 just to sit up by the sun. I don't I don't really understand um, how this is all going to pay off, how this is all going to work. Because sooner rather than later, people are going to get tired of giving money to the university. So, how long are people willing to give, and how often are people willing to give? I don't know, and something's got to be done. The prices are not; they're getting out of control just for the average Georgia fan, and sooner rather than later, I mean, it's not just a Georgia problem; it's an everybody problem. They're gonna price out their own fan base and the people that care, and people that make Sanford Stadium, or Death Valley, LSU, not Clemson, um, Columbia, South Carolina. Like they're gonna make Williams Brice not Williams Brice anymore. So you're gonna have to start thinking about, well, when do the impacts, when is it good for business and when's it not good for business, and you know uh, can we be a little bit more thrifty? And I know there was an article that came out with anonymous GMs in college football, which is a crazy thing to say, that Georgia got the best bang for their buck in the transfer portal in the recruiting class. That's great. Now, Georgia doesn't have a general manager. So that's that. The general manager is Kirby Smart, and a few other the staff members. And I honestly, I don't really know what the plan is for the future of college football. I mean, it doesn't look like we have any plan at all. And it feels like the people that are in charge of college football are actively trying to destroy the sport. Um, so it's cool if you have the money, spend it. I think there's some cool perks that come along with it. I know I'll probably be a sucker while I complain about it. Um, I'll probably sign up for it eventually, just because if it helps us get a wide receiver out of the transfer portal, I'm all in. But we'll see how this goes. I don't know the longevity of this thing. I don't know how long this is meant to last. So that's something of interest. All right. And then let's talk about the story that happened last night about London Seymour, son of Richard Seymour, the NFL Hall of Famer. Georgia, I don't even know if there is a Georgia Hall of Fame, but he'll be in it. Um, Getting arrested again, like the arrest stories with Georgia, like it was a TikTok thing, and he was banging on door. I don't know really the full story. It was like 11 accounts of property destruction, or I don't know what the legal term is. I don't really care, to be honest with you. It's a nothing burger, just plain and simple. And people will run on this with social media and talk about how Kirby doesn't care about these players, and look at their graduation rates, and look at all the players that have been arrested, blah blah. Um, it's just a big fat nothing burger. It's just a kid being stupid that's 17, 18 years old who just got into college and just being stupid. Um, and I'm sure he'll run stadiums or sprints till he pukes, and then we'll all move on. But people that want to see Georgia's downfall and hate Kirby, and all they're going to do is complain about this till the cows come home. And again, it's a nothing burger. I don't. if you're a Georgia fan and you're on social media and you're trying to defend the wall here, don't engage with it. I mean, it's just so silly to even engage with this whole premise that Kirby's running some illegal operation with a bunch of gang members as his football players. I mean, it was just a stupid kid. Again, with the past two arrests for the University of Georgia have been just dumb 18-year-old decision making. Now, does there need to be a decision making class at Georgia? Maybe. You could argue that, and I would probably agree with you, but they've been really dumb. They haven't been like, there hasn't been a murder, drug dealing. So it's way blown out of proportion. And again, I know I've talked about this 1,000 times. I really don't want to do it again, but the media that covers the University of Georgia, if a player gets arrested, they are the first ones on it, and they are going to write a whole write up about it. And how many are doing that at Auburn and Alabama and Texas and LSU and South Carolina? Imaginably, I could only imagine how many players have gotten arrested at those schools. Florida, Miami, you name the school, there's been players arrested. And I don't ever see it pop up on social media. So I don't really understand the motivation behind putting, like, a small thing like shoplifting and doing a TikTok challenge that got you in trouble for being an idiot. What does that do? I don't really know, but whatever. Speaking of the media and speaking about narratives, I thought this would be an interesting topic to talk about. And that's one last time about the transfer portal and the narrative around recruiting for Georgia and the transfer portal with Georgia and Kirby Smart's approach to it. If you look at the rankings, I think Georgia's one of the last teams in the SEC. They are ranked 14, so 14 out of 16. Not great. And they had the least amount of transfers coming in at 9. And just to kind of paint a picture here, who's number one in the SEC? That would be LSU with 40. 40. A lot of people are taking that as, well, the game has passed by Kirby, the modern state of college football. He doesn't understand it. He's not doing what needs to be done. They're not getting guys out of the portal. Georgia's recruiting has slipped. Here's my point, and I touched on it briefly a couple points ago. What Kirby did this offseason was retain the team, which was the youngest team Georgia's had, and it was the youngest team in the SEC. They retained all those guys. Look at the defense. How many people did they lose on defense that were starters? Not many. Look at the offense. How many guys outside of the wide receiver room, how many guys did they lose to the draft? Not many. So they paid players. They retained a lot of their players that that they had. Now the depth pieces, those hurt, but again, the defensive backfield was not good last season, and they missed on 3 guys. They went 0 for 3 in the backfield, defensive backfield. And if you looked, Georgia and Kirby went after a lot of guys, and they got a starter from Clemson to play safety with KJ Bolden. So because you're only getting 9 guys out of the transfer portal doesn't mean that you're not the game has passed you by, or you're chopped liver and you're not going to be any good. I think this coaching staff and Kirby know what they have with this team. They have a more experienced team. They have an extremely talented team, and they have a team that can compete for championships. I mean, they did this year with the SEC championship. They won the league. They won the conference, and they're a year ahead. Not many people were picking them to get into the playoffs. If they were 2 losses or 3 losses. And they definitely did not have them picked to win the conference championship. So, it's going to be in media narrative. It's going to be a narrative all off season that Georgia didn't do a whole lot in the portal, and that maybe this Georgia team isn't that good. They got bounced in the first round. That record last year was a figment of their magic, of make believe. They went 12-1. They beat every team, or they went 12-2, and they beat every team that they played. So this team is extremely talented going into it, going into the 2026 season. And here's the other point I think that is getting really lost so far, and there's not a lot of data, but so far, the 2 teams that have won the national championship in the current state, let's just take the last 2 years, Ohio State and Indiana, with a new format. Let's take that all in. Look at what they did in the transfer portal. I know Indiana, I saw the thing with Cignetti, with an interview with Urban Meyer and Mark Ingram. And they pointed out that Indiana's transfer portal numbers are trending down, and Cignetti went, yeah, well, our high school recruiting has gotten better because we're winning more and we're getting more guys to come in, and that's the lifeblood of any college program. And I know Lane Kiffin had a lot of success at Ole Miss with going on basically a fire sale in the portal. But has that resulted in a national championship yet? No. Will Texas getting all these big superstars, and will that help them win another national well, they haven't won any national championship. But will it help them win a national championship? Who knows? Getting these big numbers and big classes of transfers doesn't equal success, and we measure success now by national championships. It has not been proven that happens. To me, I think what's getting completely lost in this is like Indiana had 9 guys that came from JMU who were already in Cignetti's system and kind of knew how he operated and how he coached, and they bought into his philosophy, clearly, because they transferred to Indiana. That's a huge help to a coach. When you have players that already believe in your system, know how you operate, know what the day in, day out operations look like, that equals success. And look at what Indiana has done. And I know it hasn't, it equaled 2 first round bounce or second round bounce outs for Georgia, but they got into the second round with a bye. And they won the conference back-to-back years. So there's not enough data out there that suggests that one way is better than the other, but I tend to agree that what Kirby's doing is better than what the rest of college football is doing, which is, hey, we're going to recruit high school, we're going to retain our team, they're going to learn, and then if we need help in certain areas in the transfer portal, that's what we're going to do. And hopefully they hit. If they don't, we'll play younger kids. And, the beginning part of your season better be easy with that philosophy, because if Georgia played the back half of the schedule that they played at the beginning of the year, they would have been a 3-loss, 4-loss team even at the beginning of the year. But that team matured and they played better as the season went along. And by the time they got to Florida and they got to Mississippi State, that's whenever everything kind of came together for them. That was 6-7 games into the season. So I think this, and everyone's going to go and say, well, LSU is going to be a favorite, Ohio State's going to be a favorite, Texas is going to be a favorite because they got some big names and Arch Manning. That's great. But I don't think a lot of people are realizing that Georgia was a year ahead. They're retaining most of their starters, and this team's now experienced. If Gunnar Stockton takes another step, like Stetson did in 22, and is a better quarterback, and the defense is better, it played the way that it played toward the end of the year, this Georgia team is going to be really hard to beat. And I think a lot of people are kind of ignoring it because Georgia doesn't play the sexy football that the media likes, and they don't have the big names that the media likes. So just keep an eye on that because all offseason, that's going to be the talk. Georgia's going to rarely be mentioned this offseason as a legit national title contender, and I think they have the third or fourth best odds from Vegas. But they're never going to be talked about, which is okay, completely fine by me, and I think a lot of Georgia fans would probably agree with me. But this team is going. I think we should all have the expectation that this Georgia team could be really special. People have complained about the defensive line, and it hasn't been the same since the 21 and 22 national championships. And I think objectively that's a fair point. But go look at now the potential starters up front for Georgia on defense this upcoming season. They're loaded with 5 stars. Loaded. Look at the linebackers that they got in the transfer portal. Or not in the transfer portal, but in recruiting from high school. I mean, a lot of these kids are going to be really good. And then not only on top of that, you got Raylan Wilson coming back. You got Gabe Harris coming back. So this defense is going, and then if we think that Khalil Barnes is going to be as good as he is, and Jamari Riddle, and Ellis Robinson, DeMello Jones can keep ramping up how well they played like they did at the end of the year, this Georgia team is going to be really hard on defense to beat. So you got that. Then the offense was good. It wasn't great by any stretch, but it was good. I don't know what they averaged, probably like 30-something points a game. And they're only losing one offensive lineman. They have a lot of talent in that O-line room. If Gunnar takes another step, they have Nate Frazier and Chauncey Bowens coming back. And then the wide receiver room, they went and they got Isaiah Canyon. He's going to take that Colby Young spot. And really, because there wasn't a slot guy that Georgia really wanted outside of Sherrill from Vanderbilt, Kirby said, hey, we're good at where we're at. We believe in C.J. Wiley and Taylon Taylor. So this is going to be a really good... And think about the tight ends. Think about Lawson Lucky, Elias Williams, Ethan Barbour, Jaden Rydell. I mean, they're going to be a very good team, and I think they're going to be overlooked because they didn't make big splashes like LSU and Texas did. So, just pay attention to that, and if I had any money right now, I don't, but if I did, I would say Georgia's in a really good spot to win the national title. All right. I think that's it for now. By the way, Georgia basketball minute, free falling. I mean, badly. This is past 2 games have not been good for Georgia on the hardwood. That loss to A&M was brutal. Tennessee, not good. Now, Saturday, they play against LSU. I have no idea what to make out of this team. But right now, free falling. Started off really good. They're going to make the tournament. But the last 3 games? Yeah, lost to Texas, lost to Tennessee, lost to A&M. So they got to kind of weather this out here till the end of the SEC tournament. They got games against LSU. Florida comes to Athens. They got to play at Oklahoma, at Kentucky. Play Texas in Athens. Play at Vandy. Play South Carolina. Play Alabama. Both of those games are at home. And then they have Mississippi State to end the season. So let's see how many games is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, they got to be at 500. I mean, they have to be. They should beat LSU. They should beat. In all honesty, they should beat Kentucky, even though they're going up there. Hopefully, they can play a little bit better against Texas. They should beat South Carolina, and honestly, they should beat Alabama. But we'll see. I had a lot of high hopes for this team. I thought maybe Sweet 16. Right now, with the back-to-back losses, or 3 straight losses, not back-to-back, the 3 straight losses, not too good. Not good at all. All right. We're going to come out with a couple more of these solo. They're not podcast, I guess, because they're not on an RSS feed. Not to get too technical. These video cast, I think, is the hip term. But we'll come out with more of these video for you. I think they're going to be, there might be 2 a week, maybe 3, depending on what transpires. There you go. Around Georgia football. Hopefully there's not any huge breaking news. And we're going to have more evergreen content. Honestly, if you made it this far into the video, 32 minutes of me rambling, give me some topics to talk about that you want to hear about. I mean, I made this podcast or this video cast for people that are like me, that want Georgia football and Georgia content completely unfiltered and not through a media lens, and who are just the meatball fans. I'm not going to tell you that you're dumb because you don't believe that Mike Bobo's the guy as the offensive coordinator. I flip-flop on that every single day. And on Saturdays, I flip-flop 3 or 4 times. So if you made it this far and you like this, you like these videos, hit down in the comment section. And tell me, what topics you would like to hear about or what you'd like to be discussed. I think that would be interesting. We're going to have evergreen stuff come out, have stuff like, top Georgia players, Mount Rushmore during Kirby's time, and then the Mount Rushmore Georgia football, best places to eat in Athens, which is going to be my favorite topic, best Georgia games. So there'll be a lot of good content that comes out of this channel. So remember to like, subscribe, comment. Please comment. I would like to get some ideas. I like to get the juices flowing. And then head over on social medias on TikTok, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter, at Terminus Sports _ATL. It's Terminus Sports _ATL. All caps on the ATL. And we will talk to you on the other side.